Welcome back again, coffee beans. This is General Agriculture. Definition of terms. Part 4 continuation.
Plastic, a form of soil consistency which has the properties of toughness and the capacity to be muddled. Plenum flushes, rinsing procedure that discharges deionized water from the rim of a flowing bath to remove contaminants from the sides and bottom of the bath. Poikilotherms or cold-blooded animals are animals whose body temperature varies directly with that of the environment. Point of first sale refers to the location where the first sale transaction takes place for a product. Point row, a short crop row that forms an angle with another row at the field industry. Polled is a naturally hornless animal. Pollen refers to the male germ cells produced in the anther. Pollen tube is a tube-like structure developed by the tube nucleus in the microspore that helps guide the sperm and endosperm nuclei through the stigma and style to the embryo sac. Pollination is the transfer of pollen from the anther of the stamen to the stigma of the pistil. Pollutant, a contaminant that adversely alters the physical, chemical, or biological properties of the environment. It includes toxic metals, carcinogens, pathogens, oxygen-demanding materials, heat, and all other harmful substances, contaminants, or impurities. Pollution, the presence in a body of water of a substance, pollutant, in such quantities that it impairs the body's usefulness or renders it offensive to the senses of sight, taste or smell. Polymer, chemical compound with higher molecular weight consisting of structural units linked together by covalent bonds. Polyploidy is a condition in which a plant has somatic cells with more than 2 Newton's chromosomes per nucleus. Pomology, the science or study of growing fruit. Population, the total quantity of parts to be produced and put into service. Pore, a discrete volume of soil atmosphere completely surrounded by soil. Pore, the cross-section of a specialized hardwood cell known as a vessel. See vessels. It is either round, oval, or angular hole depending on the species and may be filled with yellow, black, chalky, or white tyloses. Pores, a term of convenience for the cross-section of a vessel element or of a vascular dryade in wood. Pore space, it is the percentage of volume of the soil not occupied by soil particles but occupied by water and air. Porosity, the volume of the soil mass occupied by pores and pore spaces. Boselac, trade name of RBST marketed by Protiva, a unit of Monsanto. Post-emergence, the timing of a chemical treatment applied to the soil around seedlings or larger plants. Post-emergence spray is a pesticide or herbicide spray that is after the crop has emerged from the soil. Post-gastric fermentation is the fermentation of feed that occurs in the cecum, behind the area where digestion has occurred. Postpartum, after birth. Postpartum interval, the length of time from parturition until the dam is pregnant again. Potable water, water that is safe and palatable for human consumption. Potency, the ability of the male to perform copulation. Poulard, is a pullet whose ovaries have been removed. Poult, young turkey regardless of sex. Poultry, birds raised for meat and eggs. Powder post beetles, group of beetles whose larvae or grubs and adults in some species have the capacity to burrow in and convert the sapwood portion of the wood into fine powder. Pork, meat produced from the pig. Practicable, possible to practice or perform, likely to meet the needs of a case. Preemergence, the timing of chemical treatment applied before seedling have appeared above the soil. Preferred stock is a stock that entitles the holders to a preferential treatment as to dividend as well as to the distribution of assets in case the issuing corporation liquidates. Pregastric fermentation, fermentation that occurs in the rumen of ruminant animals. It occurs before feed passes into the portion of the digestive tract in which digestion actually occurs. Pregnancy testing, an evaluation of females for pregnancy through palpation or using an ultrasound machine. Premature birth, expulsion of live fetus before reaching full time. Premium grade, refers to any rice and corn variety which meet the highest grade requirements for rice and corn as set forth in the herein prescribed national standards. Pressure preservative treated, PPT, poles, posts and construction lumber that has been impregnated, under pressure, with a chemical to repel decay. Price is the exchange value of goods or services measured in terms of money. SAE, market value per unit. Price deception refers to disguising the true price of products, services by add-on pricing and promotional tactics. Price discrimination is the illegal practice of offering attractive discounts for the same products to a selected clientele. Price dumping refers to price discrimination plus predatory pricing in the international market where products are offered below cost to customers in another country. Price elasticity of demand measures the price sensitivity expressed by dividing percentage change quantity bought over the percentage change in price. Price fixing is the illegal collaboration among competitors to change a set level of prices for products of the same category. Price gouging, excessive water rate increases that are unfair to water customers. Price index, an indicator of average price change for a group of commodities that compares price for those same commodities in some other period, commonly called the base period. Price sensitivity is the effect on prices on the buying intention whereby price movement may or may not result to changes in purchasing behavior. Pricking off refers to the transplanting of seedlings from a seeded plot to a wider spacing when they are in the cotyledon stage or have a couple of 3 leaves. Primary containment, the storage of pesticide or fertilizer in storage containers at a storage facility. Primary cooperatives, a duly registered association of 15 or more persons having a common bond of interest and are residing or working in the intended area of operation. Primary root, a main root. Priming, the removal of the first fruits, root, or tubers that develop on a plant leaving the remainder to mature. Probabilistic process, a process which is governed by chance, time series. Probability, likelihood of occurrence based on significant tests. Porcine stress syndrome, PSS, a genetic defect in swine inherited as a simple recessive. It is associated with heavily muscled animals that may suddenly die when exposed to stressful conditions. Their muscle is usually pale, soft, and exudative, PSE. Product, fluid fertilizer, fluid pesticide, and rinsate containing these materials. Productive capacity, the amount that could be produced within the next season if all the resources currently available were fully employed using the best available technology. IT increases whenever the available resources increase or the production of those resources increases. Productivity of soil is the capability of a soil to produce a specified plant or sequence of plants under a specified system of management. Production management deals with the planning, direction and control and decision-making necessary for carrying out the production processes. Production testing, an evaluation of an animal based on its production record. Proestrus is the first of the estrus cycle referred to as the building up phase. Follicles increase in size, vaginal wall thickens, and uterus vascularity increases. Profile, a vertical cross-section of the soil through all its horizons and extending into the parental material. Progeny, the offspring of animals. Progeny testing, an evaluation of an animal on the basis of performance of its offspring. Progesterone, a hormone produced by the corpus luteum that stimulates progestational proliferation in the uterus of the female. Project, any activity that involves the use of one or more scarce resources during a specific time period for the purpose of producing a socio-economic return in the form of goods and services. Prolific, capable of producing abundant offspring. Prolificacy, the ability of the male or female to produce large number of offspring. Promotional function, involves the increasing awareness, knowledge, attitude and patronage. Protein, is a basic nutrient made up of amino acids and used by the body for growth, maintenance, and reproduction of all organisms. The orderly synthesis of proteins in the body is made possible by genes. Protein quality, refers to the amount and ratio of essential amino acids present in protein. Protein supplement is any dietary component containing a high concentration, at least 25%, of protein. Proven sire, a bull about whom there is a sufficient unselected information to indicate its transmitting ability. Primary treatment, treatment that causes substances in liquid waste to readily settle or float. Puberty, sexual maturity, the age when the animal is ready for breeding for the first time. Puddleability is the susceptibility of soils to puddling. Pullet, a young female bird, hen or chicken. Pullet chicks are already declared females. Pulley, a device used for transferring power when using belts as gearing. Purebred is an animal eligible for registry with a recognized breed association. Pure breeding is the mating of unrelated individuals in the same breed. Pure line is a strain of organism that is genetically pure because of continued inbreeding, self-fertilization, or other means. Quality grades are animals grouped according to value as prime, choice, etc., based on conformation and fatness of the animals. Quality, X, of a two-phase mixture, is a fraction by mass of the vapor in the liquid vapor mixture. Quotas, in reference to foreign trade policy, it is a limitation on the quantity of an item that may be imported. Quotas restrict the amount of a commodity consumers can purchase and thus, force consumers to pay a higher price. This action forces consumers to switch to less desirable substitute commodities, while domestic producers of substitute commodities expand their output under the quota protection, using resources drawn from more efficient industries. With respect to economic efficiency, quotas are much more harmful than tariffs in general. With tariffs, the domestic price can never exceed that of the world price by more than the tax. With a quota, any increase in domestic demand must cause the domestic price to rise because the amount of imports cannot be increased. Thus, there is no limit to the difference that can exist between the domestic and the world price of the commodity. Rangeland refers to a land which is predominantly grasses, grass-like plants, or shrubs suitable for grazing and browsing. It includes natural grasslands, savannas, many wetlands, some deserts, tundra, and certain shrub communities. It also includes areas ceded to native or adapted and introduced species that are managed like native vegetation. Ram or buck, a male sheep of any age for breeding purposes. Rangeland, a large open land area on which livestock wander and graze. The native vegetation is mainly grasses, forbs, and shrubs. Rare earth magnets, see neodymium iron boron magnets. Ration, the amount of total feed fed to an animal over a 24-hour period. Ratoon, a shoot growing from the roots or base of a plant which has been cut down. Reaction refers to the degree of acidity or alkalinity of the soil expressed as pH. Reasonable use rule, a concept of water law in reasonable use of water for domestic or similar needs. Recessive, used in reference to the allele form of a unit of heredity that, when present in A expressed. Red grains, are grains which have red pericarp. Red meat, refers to the meat from cattle, swine, sheep, and goats, as contrasted with the white meat of poultry. Red soil, varies from very red to dark reddish-brown, light brown, and yellow-brown. This soil contains plenty of iron and with good drainage. Reforestation, refers to replanting of forest trees species in the watershed area. Regeneration, the renewal of a forest stand either through seed or vegetative methods such as marcots, grafts, layrage or coppice. Regolith, refers to the unconsolidated materials above the bedrock. Rehilling, the replacement of soil about individual plants or a row of plants after some soil has been removed from that location. Relay crop, is a crop which is planted in shortly before the first crop is to be harvested. Replacement boar, any intact, uncastrated, male pig intended for use in the breeding herd but not yet used for breeding. Relay cropping, crop rotation, is the planting of different crops, one after the other each season. Reliability: the probability that a part, assembly or system will perform satisfactorily for a specified period of time under specified operating conditions. Reproductive: efficiency and conception rates are often used to express degree of fertility. Resin: inflammable, amorphous, vegetable substance secreted by certain plants or trees in the vines. They are oxidation or polymerization products of the terpenes, and consist of mixtures of aromatic acids and esters. Resource: a person, thing, or action needed for living or to improve the quality of life. Respiration is the process of providing oxygen to the cells of the body and removing carbon dioxide from them. Revenue is the income derived from the sale of goods. Rhizome, a subterranean stem, usually rooting at the nodes and rising at the apex, a rootstock. Rhizobium, a genus of bacteria that live symbiotically in the roots of legumes and fix nitrogen that is used by plants. Riduling, a stallion with only one testis or none in the scrotum. Rigor mortis, the stiffness of body muscles is observed shortly the death of an animal. It is caused by an accumulation of metabolic products, especially lactic acid, in the muscles. RNA, ribonucleic acid, a molecule similar to DNA that functions primarily to decode instructions for protein synthesis that are carried by the genes. Rodenticide, a chemical designed to kill rodents. Rooster, cock, refers to a mature male chicken intended for breeding. Root is the part of the plant. Roots/stems/bulbs are kinds of vegetable that yield specialized succulent parts other than the leaves. Rootstock, in asexual propagation, it refers to where the scion is attached to develop a new plant. Rotation, or crop rotation, the growing of different crops, in recurring succession, on the same land. Roughage, feed high in fiber and low in digestible energy. Roughness coefficient, preferred term is resistance coefficient. Row crops, the rows or planting beds are far enough apart to permit the operation of machinery between them for cultural operations. Row crop planted in rows far enough apart to allow cultivation between rows during the growing season. Row grade refers to the slope in the direction of crop rows. Rumen, the first stomach compartment of a ruminant, also called paunch. Ruminant, one of the order of animals which has a stomach with 4 complete cavities: rumen, reticulum, omasum, abomasum, through which the food passes in digestion. Runt is a term commonly used to denote a piglet of small size in relation to his or her littermates. Runts usually result from a shortage of milk in one or more teats of the sow. Rural, an area that has a population of fewer than 2,500 inhabitants and is outside an urban area. It does not only apply to farm residences or to sparsely settled areas, since a small town is rural as long as it meets the above criteria. Saline soil is a soil containing excessive amounts of soluble salts. Saline sodic soil, a soil containing sufficient exchangeable sodium to interfere with the growth of most crops and containing appreciable quantities of soluble salts. Salinization, the process of accumulation of salts in the soil. Salinity refers to the quality of water based on its salt content. Seawater contains approximately 18,000 parts per million of salt. Sample, a small number of parts which will be considered as representative of the total population. Sand, mineral rock fragments that range in diameter from 2 to 0.05 mm in the USDA system. Sand lens, lenticular band of sand in distinctly sedimentary banded material. Sap, the moisture in unseasoned wood and all extractives it holds in solution. Saprophytic, refers to living on dead organic matter. Sapwood, the layer of wood next to the bark, usually lighter in color than the hardwood, 1/2 inch to 3 or more inches wide, that are actively involved in the life processes of the tree. Scheduling, determining the time when the various operations are to be performed. Scientific method is the approach taken by scientists to make observations of and theories about the world around them, and beyond. Scion is the aerial part of a plant that is transferred to a new rootstock in grafting. Scours, diarrhea, A profuse watery discharge from the intestines. Scrotal circumference, a measurement, usually in centimeters or inches, of the circumference of both testicles and the scrotal sac that surrounds them. Scrub, is an animal inferior in either breeding or individuality. SCS, Soil Conservation Service. Scurs, small growths of horn-like tissue attached to the skin of polled or dehorned animals. Secondary mineral, refers to those minerals that form from the material released by weathering. The main secondary minerals are the clays and oxides. Securities, are written or printed certificates giving their lawful holders a right to demand and receive property or payment. Sedimentary rocks, are formed through the deposits of gravel, sand, and mud which are products of chemical and mechanical weathering. Examples are conglomerate, sandstone, mudstone or shale, limestone, chalk, dolomite, evaporates, and coal. Seed, refers to the ripened ovule enclosing a sedimentary plant and the food necessary for its germination. Hope it helps. Thank you for listening. Stay tuned for the next part. Please subscribe, turn on the notification bell, like this video and comment your suggestion on topic you want to hear. Bye. Roar.